taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. I be taking wins. We don't mess with laws. We been on that paper chasing all that fashion. We been on that paper chasing what you ration.
Been in the grind now. We ready for prime time. Ready for shine now. Be ready to get smile. On the rise, all eyes up on us now. Blast off spaceships till the touchdown.
Energy level on high, put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. Energy level on high, put that trouble on fire. Double it down, I'ma spit it around. Click, clack, boom, we the best in town. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though. I started off the lowest point in life, though.
Two in the place to be. 1 2 1 2. Check check check. All right, I'm sounding okay. Yo, my name is Pro. You checking out the ProQuo Show. It's almost Halloween. It's October 7th, so you can officially get into Halloween. And right there, I want to shout out my man Mast. Gotta pop that back up there. That's that Halloween graffiti right there from my man Mast. You can't really see the detail, but the T in Mast. He's got the cross as the headstone. He's got the spider web over here. You can't really see it too much. It's all kinds of good action on that. But yeah, man. Shout out to everybody out there. Speaking of Halloween, I gotta keep it real with y'all. I watched a classic, I think it was like a 1993-ish or something like that. Classic. Hocus Pocus. Man, Hocus Pocus 2 came out. What do you say when Hocus Pocus 2 comes out? And the original cast still looked pretty authentic. I watched it back to back, and my son was impressed. So shout out to Halloween movies, like drawn Halloween stuff. My son was doing a little of that, and got me in the mood. The dimming light is not getting me in the mood. You know what I'm saying? Like the auto dim, it thinks it's helping me out. It thinks it knows, but it doesn't know. You know what I mean? See what it's doing? I got it on auto dim, and if I shut it mid form, we're gonna be a mess. Got some music for you. You feeling that? That's royalty free music, and I wanted to talk about that for a second. So the royalty free music. So I had a shutdown claim from playing my own song. Sony Orchard rejected my claim that it was my song because it's just like bot animated. You know what I mean? They just get like, you were playing, I think it was Dive In. No, was I playing Masquerade? Well, anyways, let me formally go back through it. So, songs that are out. So shout out to my man Fee. We got Back in the Days out. I'm on that with Fee and Ruby, and we got maybe a couple more weeks of that left on the charts. It's been getting a lot of love and a lot of support, which is great. And we got Dive In It out, which is obviously a ProQuo song, and the Save the Date releases from the Orchard are out for Masquerade, which comes out on the 28th, and we'll start working that to radio as soon as next week, Tuesday. And then I also got another song in the cut that's going to come out that we're going to work right away, which is a very Halloweenish kind of song, which is The Devil's Dancing. And as a matter of fact, the little promo for this week, if you see on wherever you saw that this was going to be on, it's a little play on it. So I'm going to show you the cover. It's a basic cover. Let me see if I can find the cover for it first. I say I'm going to show it to you, but let me do it this way. Let's see if I can pull it up in my file. Download, bam, Devil's Dancing. All right. So let's see. That's that. Let's see if y'all can figure it out. I've been asking people if they can figure it out. So let's go to, how can I show that to you? It's going to be tricky. I'm going to need a new tab. No, I know how we can do it. I can show it to you this way. The things I do for you. You know what I mean? The things I do for you. You have no idea. Let me pull it up. I'm going to show you the cover. But the reason I even got in this little line of thought is that I got the shutdown for my own record. I just find that funny because, Facebook is real sensitive. YouTube's real sensitive. So if you play in anything that is copywritten, they automatically reject when you do a lot of these live streams. And to me, that's still the flaw of the whole system. So you shouldn't be shutting down people trying to play music. I mean, they don't shut anybody down on Spotify, right? To get your 0.003 cents, to get your $3,000 per million played, if you're following along. I saw a good meme today too, or not a meme. It was a video. Now that I think about it, and a dude was breaking it down. I think it was on Instagram while I was scrolling through, and I think this is really dope the way he said it. He said something like, "Yo, if you sell 40 hoodies for $50, or maybe it was 50 hoodies for $40, vice versa, whatever, right?" He's like, "You're gonna get that $2,000." He goes, "You know how long it's gonna take you to make $2,000 on streams?" He's like, "For never." He's like, "You ain't never gonna get that money on streams." He goes, "You trying to make $2,000 on streams? Good luck. But all you got to do is sell 40 hoodies at $50 a pop." Now you can do that, right? That's doable. I think 50 for 40 is a little bit more easy, but 50 for 40, right? I'm with it. I'm like, yo, I threw on a little fleece here. It is way too hot tonight for fleece, but I just did it because the white, it just makes me see you better. Yeah, Fee, Ted Danson. But tomorrow, by the way, today was 80. Tomorrow's gonna be like 60. So it's crazy. My son got a baseball game at 9:30 in the morning, and I don't know. So yeah, let's show them the cover, Fee. Let's show them the cover. Let's go over to Instagram. In fact, I'll use our chat. So that's what I want to show y'all. All right. So now you have to be real astute. I like that word. You have to be real astute to know what that is. All right. Are you astute? Let's blow it up a little bit more. This is almost like a section of quotes that he likes to do, which is break it down. So it's I had a song called Break It Down. Fee, you remember Break It Down. But it's like the J. Crew's Break It Down segment, right? So we're gonna break it down for you. All right. Now I'm not gonna play the song because it'll shut my link down. It'll shut my stream down. Instead, we'll play some royalty-free music. Here we go. All right. Now I don't want to confuse anybody because it's definitely not The Devil's Dancing, but that's just some royalty-free music to get us in the mood. Let me turn it down. All right. So what's dope about that? That's the cover. Now, I should almost just take your guess. What is dope about that cover? Song's called The Devil's Dancing. See, we got a little blurred picture going on there. Can you see who it is that's blurred there? Can you see who it is? Let me zoom in for it even more for you. Can you see now? Can you see? I think you might be able to see now. How about there? He's kind of snapping along with the rhythm in his tuxedo. So that's Ted Danson. And you might have heard me talking about my lyrics in The Devil's Dancing. In The Devil's Dancing, Quo's voice just sets it off. And he loved what I did to this track. And I was excited he loved it because I really liked the word play and the lyricism. But I was trying to match his vocals that I already heard first, where he's just so raw on it and so ill in like a scary almost track, like the devil's dancing. And he was like, the devil's dancing. And that was the hook. And I was like, at your door now. The devil's dancing on the floor now. So I filled in the gaps of what he did. And after I heard his verse, I was like, oh, let me see what I can do to this. And the first thing that came to my mind was, whenever you in a good place, you better believe that devil's dancing. The good place, no one believed the devil was dancing. And I literally, when I said that line, almost fell off my chair because you got to think when we were making these songs for this album, we were right in the middle of COVID, and I was doing nothing but catching up on shows. And so I was watching what I liked from previous couple years before, which was I thought Ted Danson, who I've never really been a huge fan of, but it was like I thought he was unbelievable in this show, The Good Life. So he plays what essentially is the devil in the show. He's a demon, but he's like the head demon. So he's essentially the devil in the show. And they don't know that. They first think he's like God. And later on, they find out that he's really, spoiler alert, the devil, right? So the good place is like heaven, uh, kind of. You have to watch the show to watch it. And it's a comedy and it's dope. And he plays like a bumbling devil, essentially, or a bumbling god, depending where you are in the series. And he's kind of a fool, but at the end you realize he's kind of good-hearted considering he's a devil, and he's just interesting, right? So that's his character. So to me, when I said that line, I was like, I wanted to say the devil's dance, like the devil's coming for you. The devil's getting his devil's there. He's in the mist whenever you in a good place. You better believe like the devil's lurking. You better believe the devil's dancing. The good place, no one believed the devil was dancing. Good taste, blah, blah, blah. But the lyrics go on. And then I'm talking about a famous painting, actually. I'm talking about a good taste, and it'll cost a devil's ransom for you to hook up your pad or whatever. But then I named the actual painting, Judas Repentant. It's you have to really, really get into it. Judas Repentant, them 30 pieces of silver now. But you got to hear it. So, anyways, we're pushing that to radio. I love the track, but the very first couple people we played in some of the rooms that were really feeling a lot of our proco music. This was the first joint that people were like, "Oh, I don't know about that one." They were like, "It's just too dark." And I was like, "Yeah, man, it's supposed to be dark. It's supposed to be the devil's dancing. It's supposed to be like Halloween." So I was like, when we made it, I was like, "Yeah, we can get this synced on like Lucifer." You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I was thinking. Lucifer is just about wrapped up by the time we were doing that too. And I was like, yo, if we got that to the right place, they would definitely feel this joint. And then at the end, Quo did this cool thing where he mixed in the song we were talking about, the demon, and we called it My Demon. And it's at the end, and it kind of picks up the pace, and it's kind of a surprise thing on the album where both songs are kind of blended. For the single we're releasing, it isn't like that, but we will hit the DJs off with the album cut too, where you can't avoid the extra tail in there. It kind of just blends right into the song called My Demon that we didn't release in full. It's just kind of like a teaser of it, and for like a minute, and we're rapping real fast on it, whatever. But that's what's on there. So we got two Halloween kind of joints we promoting at the same time, really just because I forgot. I was like, yo, I got to get on promoting this Devil's Dancing. It's like, what am I going to do? Wait till next Halloween? I could, but I don't want to. So I just want to get it out there for some people, almost like a bonus to the DJs who are playing our stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there in the ether, a lot of stuff going on with us, but I wanted to get it out there and say yo, yo, yo. On a more gruesome Halloween topic, the killing of rappers continues to be in the news. There's been some great articles written about this. It's sort of the larger problem of rapper killings. We could go on and on and on talking about all the ones that have happened this year. Actually, over the last couple of years, even since we started the show, it just seems like, if there's too long of a gap, or like, oh, there's going to be another, like rapper killing, but we don't necessarily pay enough attention to all just the other killings that go on day to day, right? So I think one of the first big ones, and I actually said a line about it, and I knew it was too early. I did a punchline about it. I did a Pop Smoke punchline, and Pop Smoke, Life Cut Short, was just starting to blow huge, and then like really continued to blow huge after he passed, right? People thinking they just can take a trip to LA and it's all good, and it's not necessarily the way, right? There's a lot of people are watching your moves on social media. When you're at the status of a lot of these rappers who are bigger than life for so many, it's like your moves can be being made so people can get caught slipping, and that's basically been what's happening. It's unfortunate we're in a world like that, but from Young Dolph to PNB Rock, whoever, it's just been a lot of tragedies. But the point is like think about like Nipsey Hussle, how much that rocked the world, right? Um, or at least the hip hop world. Um, Another person who just really, really starting to come into it on a global level, not just, West Coast and then through the hip hop community, but just like in a global business, getting his grind on, doing for the community, just like coming to be that dude, on the mustard beats, everything just at the right time. And dude's life is taken. It's just like you, you think, oh, people are untouchable. Nobody's untouchable. That's definitely what we've learned. So the world is bigger and bigger, and people out there just trying to, catch reps or, make their money in the most nefarious ways or whatnot. But this is what we're seeing. So people are raising the point and reminding us that this is not a rap problem. Granted, you don't see it in other music, but at this level, but there's a reason, because we're thinking about who are the people that are doing most of the music. And this is a problem that affects the Black community in a more central and heavy way. Just like we talk about the same thing in COVID, but like, is there anything specific about why COVID is mowing down so many people of color? And it's like, no, of course it's not targeting it on those people, but the way our society is set up, it makes it easy to target on some of our communities that have been set up in many instances to fail. So we have that same thing going on in our cities, where where obviously hip hop is going to be played and is going to be performed, and so nobody's necessarily immune, is what we're learning. So just one of those controversial issues where people are like, yo, is it hip hop that's doing it? And I'm certainly one to say hip hop has to play its part. We have to be mindful. We have to think about, can we do better, right? But we also have to remember, we're not going to, that message isn't going to reach everybody. And so it's like, remember that hip hop is just reflective of what's going on in the larger society. And a lot of time the flashlight doesn't get pointed, the spotlight doesn't get pointed on larger society as much as it should. And talking about what are some solutions for things that are going on really all over the country, in a country where obviously we have an addiction to guns and gun culture in general. So it just brings up these issues. But anyways, as far as our music goes, I'm just shouting that out. So for some Halloween stuff, I'm loving the response we've gotten from the X-Cal joint, the back in the days, and dive in it. So thankful for the response we've been getting. It just amazingly just got some really great playlist little spots. But again, I remain not a huge fan of uh, the way that finances is set up for streaming. It's just ridiculous, but always has been, and we've always known that. I mean, finances have always been horrific for the music industry, anyways. Where the artist is definitely the last to get paid, or the last one who might get paid, I should say, where everyone else gets their money pretty much up front, or at least before the artist. So it's just another reminder that the streaming world is not getting anyone paid. And if you want to sell hats and shirts or whatever, you want to basically be a salesperson through your music, you have a much better chance of making that money than you do with streams. Unless you're on a level that's, you're getting billions of streams or something, which only like 100 people have on Spotify, like ever. And that's actually a stat that came out the other day. It was like, I believe there's 100 artists who have done 1 billion streams. I don't remember the specifics of it, but it's like, that's depressing, along with the 60,000 tracks that come out a day. You just think about, if 60,000 tracks are coming out a day, how many people are destined to never get heard, So to get picked up in a playlist is cool. It is a big deal. It is a reason for celebration. However, you got to remember and keep it grounded where, you might make a few $100, as opposed to what you could do at a show at $20 a pop for 10 albums at a decently crowded show. You make that easy. So that's what that video was reminding us that I was speaking about. It's like, it's so much easier to just sell merch, right? And again, my message to artists is, it's so much easier to actually do a show that would pay you, work through something that's, whether it's corporate or whether it's a song in a movie, or whether it's a show that you're paid to perform and or speak. And then, you see what most of the big rappers are. The rappers who are anybody who've been out for any amount of time have managed to have staying power through movies and TV, almost exclusively, unless they're like a Kanye or whatever and have an overpriced clothing line or something. Rock Aware, that kind of stuff. Those kind of things have set people up to make, if they're smart, to make continuous moves off of those kind of deals, which was where the leverage comes from. So you've seen people like LL and Queen Latifah, Will Smith, of course. Like, you just see people have incredible staying power over the years by translating it to movies, which is where there is a lot of money for the front people on the front of the screen. Not that there isn't money for rappers at that level as well in the music, but it's treacherous waters to even get to that point. Whereas the movies are usually paying for you as a career goes, and it goes up and up and up. Whereas hip hop, you can be in severe debt before your career really gets started. So it's really tricky unless you have a super big hit. When you think about who are the established stars who've made it over the long run, it almost has to be the case that they've made additional money and then invested off of movies and TV. You think of your Ice Cubes, your Latifahs, even on a smaller scale. You think of like what the brothers in Onyx were able to do, right? You think of just small bit plate pieces that have sustained people. I mean, you even think of Flavor Flav back when he's on Flavor of Love. I mean, that probably kept him out of some treacherous situations, because life was going pretty rough for him at the time. You take a dude like Chuck, who's continued to make music, maybe not on that scale level that Public Enemy was doing, but it's like that dude is always speaking, and always, performing, speaking, and talking. And that dude, what he's getting is just, he lives a great life, whereas a lot of rappers are not as fortunate to have been able to make enough music to sustain their career or have that one mega hit that is able to draw a crowd. And I think that's what most people are trying to do. And if you don't have that, at least, you're probably not in that actor flip or actress flip, let alone a product flip, because you've actually made some product. So if you're on the level more like myself, if you're on a level where you've been sustaining yourself over a career of let's say, modest gains of airplay or spins that are really modest, which are the kinds of things that would only peripherally help you pay some bills, you better have another way to do it, unless you're strictly just doing it for the love. And I hear the doing it for the love thing. This is really what I wanted to get into before we get out tonight. The whole doing it for the love con job, right? Like, of course, if you do anything, you do it for the love. If you really like something, that's a given. But we hear it all the time in underpaid professions, right? As if you're supposed to just do it for the love. Yeah, that's what teaching all the time. Teachers do it because they just love the kids. Screw that. Right? You see a great teacher exodus, right? Because it can't be just about the love forever, because bills have to get paid. And when people are working very hard and they're doing it just for the love, it's very difficult. So when I come to your school, it's not just for the love. It's the love has gotten me to a position to be able to then charge to actually come. So I think we need to get this message out there that MCs don't need to be like, yo, I'm so true and tried. I'm doing it just for the love. If you're doing it just for the love, you're probably broke. Or you probably are not doing it just for the love. You were doing it just for the love, and then the love did not sustain, right? The only an extremely rare few are able to do it just for the love and then continue to get paid, because they probably had a single or some kind of other world level success that allowed them to continue doing it just for the love, though checks were coming in, right? It is not sustainable, whether you're a teacher, faculty, right, musician, to do anything just for the love. You will go through family, houses, cars, relationships, and it would be just for the love of the music, but you'll lose the loves of your life, right? I speak from personal experience that you can lose, whether it's personal finances or relationships or what friendships, all that kind of stuff, when you're dedicated to something that you haven't figured out a way to make it pay the bills for you. Even for, I'm thinking about like the super modest studio that I have right here, right? Like, which I wouldn't have had if it wasn't for COVID. The super modest studio. You think about the privilege that we have to be able to even have a space in a house consistently that we can call a studio, right? There's not much to my studio, but I got some stuff, right? But it allows you a spot to just go and be creative. Do you have a spot to be creative at home? You don't have to have the equipment, but if you do, you're in a position, a room, a spot, a space, you're in a position that will separate you from the average person who's having to always go spend big money to go somewhere else to record, right? Um, Especially when the world was restricted in terms of its finances during COVID, people got busy who were able to, but you weren't able to get busy and go to the studio for a long time during that. So people who were able to do so, I mean, literally I had to get my stuff by mail order, right? And twice, because one of my orders got screwed up. You weren't able to go down to a local store. After a little while, yeah, be able to go out and get the soundproofing and stuff like that later, and step up and get different equipment I got here or whatever, and desks and just even the basics, right? But to even be able to do that, can it be just about the love if it's constantly a deficit, right? Imagine if teachers were always buying books and supplies. You hear the stories of teachers buying books and supplies, right? Can you do that for a 20-year career? No, of course not. You can't be buying people supplies. At some point, you got to be like, yo, the school system's got to pay me more or pay directly to the kids, so at least I'm not taking the L, right? And it's true in the music industry too. So just for the love usually mean it's just that. If you're putting it out there, hey, I do it just for the love, then you probably won't be doing it very long, or you won't be doing it very proficiently or prolifically, because you won't be able to. It's just, be real. If there's no finances coming in for you, how are you doing it? And the difference of 1 or 2 shows a year that even pay you a couple $1,000s would be the level at which a lot of artists would not have quit. Like if something hits your bank account and it's got like at least 3 zeros on it, and you can tangibly look and go, yo, my music did that. That's motivating, especially when you weren't getting anything, right? And now if you can get 5 of those, 10, 20 of those, 30 of those a year, truthfully, that's all I shoot for, right? If you're able to do that, you're able to sustain, so it doesn't have to be just for the love. Is that you can have a little extra buffer in the account. You can have a little extra money to do your love. And then it isn't an L, it's actually a plus, right? What's the opposite of an L? A W, right? It's W, right? So W's and M's, baby. But you know what I mean? So what are we doing when we tell artists, oh, you should be doing it just for the love? Nah, no, you shouldn't. You shouldn't do anything just for the love. In fact, when you say just in front of anything, you probably should rethink the sentence. I know we say it a lot, right? Out of habit. Oh, yeah, I'll just be a minute. How about, oh, yeah, I'll be a minute, right? The just kind of weakens it. I just do it for the love. How about I do it for the love, and I do it for the love, and I do need to be compensated for what I do, right? And you think about the word compensate. Even the meaning of that word, it means to be given something in exchange for the fact that you put yourself out over here, usually for time, right? So what am I being compensated for my time? Would you just continue to draw from the deficit of our biggest resource, which is time, where our life is finite, right? Oh, it's just my time. Just your time, right? Nah. So we got to think like that. We got to think like that, baby. Yeah, good night, Pro. All right. I see you. I got to post these things more often. Bang. There we go. So yeah, for the releases, look out for them. The recap in there just briefly on the killing of the rappers and so forth. It's killing of everybody, yo. We'll be real, right? There's too many guns in our country. I never buy the whole argument of, oh, guns don't kill people. Yes, they do. Right? Stupidest argument of guns don't kill people. People kill people. Okay. Then people need to stop killing people, right? Right. But what's the means of choice by which people do it? They're not doing it with hay, right? They're not like, yo, get rid of that. People are burning hay. No, they're not. They're not doing it with scissors. I mean, a couple people are doing it with Molotov cocktails. A couple people are. What are people doing? People are mowing people down with automatic assault rifles, right? With weapons, with 9mm, with whatever, right? At a prolific rate because it's easy to get, right? If it was, and they're effective, right? So that's what we're talking about. I don't think we talk about that enough in the music, enough healthy sustainability kind of things. So when you're busy and distracted doing that because you think you need to sell, are you really talking about the kind of stuff we're talking about right now, the sustainability factor, like the just for the love kind of stuff, right? You don't have time to sit down and write something that would be like beneficial to mankind, right? If you are out here going, I'm doing it just for the love, right? One side, you're doing it just for the love, yet you've constructed your music in a way to try to be as popular as possible to hope, right? To hope compensate that, oh, hope the streams will come back. Hope some of that merch will sell. Hope that you want people to like what you're doing, because if you're doing it just for the love, well, there's not going to be a lot of paper coming in for you probably, and you're going to need to get it somewhere. It's a cycle, and you got to think about what you'll mix, you know, and I'm not trying to preach to anybody about how you do it. Just think about it. Is your stuff sustainable for your life, your well-being, and for like the society in general? Is what you're doing sustainable, or is it just for the love? All right, y'all.